when you want to quit your job or you want to make more money, do this instead. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what to do so that you can make more money and, more importantly, so you can be happier, because there's a lot of people right now that are starting to rethink their lives. There's big headlines talking about the Great Resignation, massive amounts of people quitting. And I'm going to share with you advice that is different than you think, you've never heard before. It might be shocking, you might not expect it, but this is a proven system that we tested with my wife years ago. She was in a job she hated. She was working over 40 hours a week. She was severely underpaid at it. She didn't want to do it anymore. And I said, instead of quitting your job, let's do this first. And she ended up making over $10,000 a month when we started doing this. And we perfected this system and this model. So when you feel like quitting your job, if you want to quit your job, or you just want to make more money, this is what you do. Now, if you do want help with that right now, we're doing a 50% off sale on my brand new program. It's called 10K in 10 weeks. The link is right there down below. It's jakeducey.com/get10K. It's pinned to the comments and it's in the description right there down below. So go ahead and check that out. We were just gonna release it, but I'm in California right now. My grandma's right on the verge of passing away right now. So we came back to see my family, and there's a couple last things I still want to do. And so we thought, well, instead, let's just do a 50% off. Everyone can join. This is an amazing, amazing program we put together that is step-by-step going to give you a personalized money map and give you the strategies and tools to help you create $10,000 in 10 weeks or less. The link to it is right there down below. Like I said, this is a limited time, 50% off. So there's an awesome video that explains it. Even if you aren't sure whether you want to join, I highly recommend that you go right now and watch that video when this video is over. So pinned to the comments and in the description, you will see the link. Make sure you smash the like button on this video over there or over there. And I'm going to dive right into this. So the very first thing is to realize that you are actually in two businesses. That's the first thing to know. You're in two businesses, even if you don't think you're in any businesses. So let's take, for example, my wife. So she was working at a job she hated. We were in our mid-20s. She was folding clothes at a clothing store and making, I don't know, maybe like $11 an hour. She was working a lot. She didn't like it. She felt underpaid at it. And she said, that's it, I'm quitting. And I said, well, remember what Tony Robbins says? I said, Tony Robbins said he realized that he was in two businesses, the one where he was in and the one that he wanted to be. So even if you don't have a business, think of your job like a business. Or you could say you're in two jobs, the one you're in now and the one that you want to be in. And so what Tony Robbins said is, don't give up your existing income stream, your existing job, your existing business until you have a structured plan in place that can help you with your future desired one. So what my wife and I set up a plan was, instead of quitting, she had to figure out what she was going to replace her job with. And she decided upon art. That's one of her actual first art pieces ever. Ironically, I'm just in this room. I wasn't even thinking about it. This is one of her huge ones. So she wood burns all that. So what she did is she decided she was going to spend all of her free time and she was going to perfect wood burning. And so instead of quitting her job, she spent all of her free time doing that. She was just finishing her first ever art piece when we decided to do this. One of my friends walked into the house and said, "What the heck is that? That's the coolest thing I've ever seen." And she sold it for like $300-400 and was like, "Holy crap, maybe I should do more of this." And this process kept building. And we developed a system where she was going to use all of her spare time to feel confident enough and then use her job as an investor. What most people do is they don't like their job, so they spend all the money they make at it, so they're broke, which means quitting their job becomes even more stressful because they don't have any money. But what my wife did is she started saving. Instead of just a couple bucks here and there, she started saving 30, 40, 50, 60% of all the money she was making from her job, so she had a big enough nest egg. So eventually she could move part-time, and she didn't want to create unnecessary stress. So she starts saving more and more and more money, and then she starts selling little pieces for a couple $100 here and there. And she realized, holy cow, I have something here. So she saved saved up enough money where she could go part-time at her job and then part-time on her art. And she just kept doing that. And then eventually she started selling pieces for 500, 600, 700, 800 bucks. She had saved a decent enough amount of money where she realized she could eventually quit her job entirely and go full-time as an artist. And she ended up making pieces like this. I think this one's like 4, 5, 6 feet big or something like that. And selling $10,000 art pieces. And before she got pregnant with her first daughter, she was making about $10,000 a month as an artist. And as a full-time folding clothes at the store, I mean, she was making, I don't know, 13, 1400 bucks. So it goes to show you the power if you treat your job like an investor, meaning you treat it like an investor where you're saving as much of it as you can. So you give new meaning to your job that you want to quit. And instead of quitting, you go, well, I got cash flow coming in. Let me save as much of it as I can. When I save as much of it as I can, it's going to give me the psychological stability instead of the stress for me to pursue a side hustle. I grow that side hustle, and then you do what Jim Rohn said, which is make as much money on your part-time job as you do as your full-time job, then you can quit. So if you want the whole process, I break this whole thing down for you. So you have a job, you want to quit, or you just want to make more money. I put together an entire money map system, everything I taught my wife, and everything you can utilize to make 10K in 10 weeks. And if that's beyond where you're at right now, this is going to be a strategy that you can put in place to make 10K a month. So the pre-sale is right there down below. You'll see the link. It's jakeducey.com/get10K. It's pinned to the comments, and it's in the description right there down below. And you can go ahead and you can check that out. Now, let's move on to the next big idea from this video if you've been wanting to quit your job. So the next important thing is to realize you can make money at pretty much anything. Money is just a reward for service rendered. It's a medium of exchange. And what happens is a lot of times when we're at a job we don't like and we don't see a way out, it's easy to make it really complex, right? And when you make it really complex, you start to forget what the definition of money is a reward for service rendered. The service my wife rendered was art. There's a marketplace of needs. There's 8 billion people in the world. They all need, want, and desire different things. And if you are good at something, or if you're not good at it, you can develop a skill to become good at something. And the market will pay you in direct proportion to the value you provide to other people. There's a lot of people that like art. There's a lot of people that like everything. Cookies are a need. House cleaning is a need. Consulting is a need. Accounting is a need. Authors are a need. Healthy fitness coaching is a need. The list is literally endless. It goes on and on and on and on and on. So if you want to quit your job and you're trying to figure out, well, what would I do eventually if I quit? Don't overcomplicate it. Think about it. You can make money at anything. The question is, how can I provide more value? What am I good at? What am I passionate about? Or what am I interested in that I could develop a skill at and then solve other people's problems with? That's all an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is someone who solves people's problems at a profit. That's all an entrepreneur is. So don't complicate it. And then the next important step out of this is to detach yourself from your 5 senses. A lot of times people spend so much of their life at jobs that they hate that you start to believe you're only capable of so much. You start to believe you can only make so much money, and you start to believe that there aren't better opportunities out there. It gets built into the cells of your brain. You get so used to making minimum wage, or you get so used to feeling an emotional disconnect from your work and not passionate about it that it feels normal. And you have to start to detach yourself from your 5 senses and build a new vision for your life, which is what my wife did. She would come home every day and she would be upset. She didn't want to do this job anymore. She wasn't happy at it. She didn't like the boss. She felt like she was underpaid. And she would just come home and be upset. And I finally am like, well, do something about it. Come on, like you're coming home and you're not happy, do something. But then we realized it was hard to even think of what to do because she was used to that. And that was when we said, well, what do you want? Have you ever asked yourself that? What do you want? Nobody asks us that. They don't ask us what we want. They tell us what we should do. There's a big difference between the two of them. What do you want and what you should do are very different. And if you do what you should do, normally you live a life of mediocrity and just getting by. So Ashley asked herself, what do I want? And she built a big list of all the ways that she could make a living. And she circled artist. And then the question was, well, what did she want? How was she going to do that? And she decided to do wood burning. And what I invite you to do is do some soul searching about what you really want and close your eyes and imagine it. You know, Ashley had to get emotionally involved with the idea of her being a successful artist because it was so detached from reality. She was so used to working this job she didn't like and being underpaid at it. She just thought it was normal. So she had to close her eyes, she had to use her imagination, and she had to see herself in a unique way, doing art, not just vaguely, but this idea of wood burning. No one was doing this. This was 6-7 years ago or something, 8 years ago. No one was doing wood burning. So she had to imagine it. She had to see herself with these big pieces. She started off with pieces way smaller than this, but she imagined doing these huge pieces. She imagined doing doors, and she imagined doing tables. She had a vision. That's what a visionary is. It's someone that lives from an inner vision. And what happens is, in our world, we're so conditioned to follow the rules, and we're so conditioned to submit to authority, that what happens is we spend our whole lives in a mindset where we give up our own creative thinking skills. And if that's you and you're wondering, well, how do I want to quit my job, what do I do? You have to reclaim your own creative thinking skills and start to imagine who you want to be and start imagining how your life could look. This is what gives you the emotion. This is what gives you the inspiration to push through. And this is what happens. What most people do is they don't have a vision. If you don't have a vision, you don't have an emotion. If you don't have an emotion, you don't have inspiration. And if you don't have inspiration, you submit to your environment. Human beings are the only creatures in the world that can create their own environment. We're the only creatures that can create our own environment, but the only way to do it is from emotion and from inspiration. Otherwise, we live in a reactionary consciousness. We look around and we say, well, I've always been broke. I've always only made $10 an hour. Well, I don't know what to do. Oh, I guess I'll just keep doing this. And then we move right back into the comfort zone, even though we don't want to be there anymore. So the question is, what do you really want? And whether you know what you want or you don't know what you want, in the 10K in 10 weeks course, I give you an entire personalized money map that's going to help you break down and fine tune what it is that you want and how you can make money at it, how you can monetize it. And I give you a whole strategy to do that. So the link to it is right there down below. This is a limited time, 50% off to sign up. Everyone can join. We weren't planning on doing this, but I didn't quite, my grandma's on the verge of passing away, and I didn't quite get a couple really exciting last minute things done that I wanted. So we thought, well, why don't we do 50% off? We'll let everyone have the opportunity to get in. So the link to it is right there down below, pinned to the comments and in the description. It's jakeducey.com/get10K. There's a video that explains the whole thing that you can watch right after this. You can check it out right there down below. The next thing is an Albert Einstein quote that I really like. He said that nothing happens until something moves. Nothing will shift in your life until something moves, and that something is you. And so what my wife did is she looked around and she said, I don't want to be like this anymore. So she just got to work. You know, she could have said, well, I don't have any time and I'm working 9 to 5 already and blah, blah, blah. But she just said, look, there's nothing to be afraid of. What happens is a lot of times we get afraid of failure. But she was like, I'm already failing. Like, I'm already at a job I don't like. I'm underpaid at it. I don't like it. It doesn't make me happy. I don't have any financial independence, and I'm not even confident in what I'm doing because I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good. So I've already failed. Now, that was what she realized. So then she lost the fear of failure. And she realized nothing happens until something moves. And what happens is a lot of people talk themselves out of everything because they're afraid of failing. But think about it. If you were at a job you don't like or a job you're underpaid at, you know, in some ways, you already did fail. You're actually going to succeed just by trying to do something that you care about. Just by trying to improve your life already gives you success. It already boosts your confidence. It already grows your self-esteem. And so my wife made this flip in her mindset where instead of being afraid of like, What if I make art and nobody buys it? She's like, dude, I've already failed. I'm at a job I don't like. I'm not happy about it. I wake up every day not happy about it, and I'm underpaid at it. I already failed. So I'm already going to succeed just by trying, regardless of what happens, regardless of the outcome. And that mindset shift gave her empowerment. It gave her security. She lost the stress. She got out of fight or flight, and she got out of a fear complex, which allowed her to think creatively. And then she said, well, I'll do wood burning. And nothing happens until something moves. She makes her first art piece. While she's in the middle of making her first art piece, my friend comes over and buys it. Like, he was just coming over, and then he's like, what the heck is that? Well, she's doing this thing called wood burning. I'm buying that. How much is it? How much is it? She's like, I don't know. I wasn't planning on anyone buying this one because I didn't think anyone wanted this stuff. It's like, you never know. I had no idea when I wrote my first book, I had no idea that it would end up selling tens of thousands of copies and lead to a book deal with the #1 English publishing company in the world, Penguin Random House. When I dropped out of college and then I start making YouTube videos, I had no idea any of this would lead somewhere. But once you change your perspective on the fear of failure by understanding that you're already a success just by trying. Because most people never try. Most people literally live their whole life in a box of fear. They convince themselves it's not fear. They convince themselves it's intelligence. They convince themselves it's safety. They convince themselves it's smart. And they tell themselves later in life they'll finally do what they want. In my first book, Into the Wind, I write that most people are gambling on the biggest risk of all, the bet that one day they can buy back all the time that they wasted. You can't do it. Newsflash, it's impossible. Nothing happens until something moves. So once you know what you want, be relentless. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it so you can leave the crappy job. Do it for yourself. Do it because you owe it to yourself to see what you're capable of, and you owe it to yourself to build a life that you love living. Doesn't mean it's always easy, trust me, but it's something you can be proud of. That's what's important. So if you want help with that, go ahead and check out the 10K in 10 weeks roadmap that I set up. The link is right there down below. We have an awesome video that'll explain the whole thing. Even if you weren't sure, please just watch the video. I put this together because so many people were writing and being like, Jake, please help. Like, I'm at this job I don't like, or I'm having trouble with finances, or I realize I need to make more money. The last 24 months of craziness in the world has really, set me back. And I wasn't really planning on putting this together, but there were so many requests that we did. And I highly recommend right now that you head to the link in the comments, pinned to the top comment in the description. It's jakeducey.com/get10K right there down below. Give me a comment right there down below. Let me know if you enjoyed today's video. Smash the like button on it. You can check out my free success hypnosis as well. It's jakeshypnosis.com right there down below. So go ahead, watch the video for the 10K in 10 weeks right there down below. Thanks for watching today's video. And trust me, there's a quote by Tony Robbins. He says that most people, they overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, and they underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. And I watch my wife be living proof of that. Treat your job like an investor. Instead of blowing the money, save as much of it as you can. Start building your side hustle. Get your side hustle going where you can go part-time at the job you eventually want to quit. And you're going to be amazed at what you can accomplish. And if you want help with that, a strategy to do that, be sure to check out the 10K in 10 weeks, pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. And I'll see you on another video.